He's back. Donald Trump returned to D.C. today, and his first meeting was with Congress.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very nice gathering. Isn't it nice to win? It's nice to win. It's always nice to win. A lot of good friends in this room. So you know we had like historic kind of numbers, especially for the president, but we won't get into that.
His whole entourage was there. Elon Musk got a standing O.
Elon has been celebrated.
Behind closed doors, Trump joked, Elon won't go home. I can't get rid of him. The next stop was the White House. Biden-Harris staffers raced away from their desks to watch history turn the page.
It's really stunning. Those are Biden staffers. They're in the EOB. Some of them are lower level, some of them perhaps a little bit higher. But they're there to watch a history moment being made that nobody standing there wanted.
Joe Biden was just as giddy as his staff.
Donald, congratulations. Thank you very much. And looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
Good.
Welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough. And it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe.
You're welcome.
Biden seemed relieved to be passing the torch to Don the dictator. Since Kamala lost, we've never seen Joe happier. How do you arrest a guy, call him Hitler, and almost get him killed, and then when he wins, you invite him over for coffee? I don't know what goes on in Joe's little head. He doesn't either. These two guys met for almost 2 hours, and Trump says we got to know each other again. Telling the Post, quote, I asked for his views, and he gave them to me. He was very gracious, and it was a really good meeting. Binder says it was downright chummy.
Did he get a sense that the issues that he was impressing upon, that any advice he was giving was being well received?
I think so. I think that's why the president was wanting me to let you all know that there was a very good back and forth. Look, they met for more than 2 hours. They met for a very long time, or nearly 2 hours, pardon me. And I think by the length of the meeting tells you that they had an in-depth conversation on an array of issues.
We hear they talked a lot about the Mideast, but what else?
The last time these two were together in the same room was at the debate. They talked a fair amount about playing golf. Do you know if a plan was made for them to play golf in President Biden's retirement?
Actually, that's not the last time they saw each other. They saw each other at September 11th. I'm going to move on.
Dr. Jill even popped by to hand Trump a handwritten letter for Melania, who couldn't make it. And she gave the dictator a nice warm smile. Kamala just got the cold shoulder. Not everybody in the White House was as happy as the Bidens. An unnamed Biden official reacting to the meeting with, what the F? Democrats wanted Biden to be a bridge to the next generation, but he was just a roundabout, right back to Trump. Now Trump's back in Washington with an overwhelming mandate, and the Democrats are squabbling and totally shut out of power. In a secret ballot, Senate Republicans picked John Thune of North Dakota to be Senate Majority Leader. Mitch McConnell's retiring, and Trump's cabinet will get a fair shake and a fast track.
We will do everything we can to process his noms quickly, get them installed in their position so they can begin to implement his agenda.
We learned today Tulsi Gabbard has been tapped for Director of National Intelligence, DNI. That's a big role, and she'll be on the show in a minute. And here's a surprise. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz has been selected to be Trump's Attorney General. Gaetz is a sharp-tongued lawyer who sat on the House Judiciary Committee, has tangled with Democrats and Republicans, and shines a spotlight on government corruption and weaponization.
Seems like every time I turn around, they're engaged in surveillance or list building or monitoring, and I don't care if it takes every second of our time and every ounce of our energy. We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them, if they do not come to heel.
Gaetz is controversial because of some personal allegations that Biden's Justice Department hung over his head but never prosecuted. We expect the Democrats to treat him like trash and turn his hearing into the Salem witch trials. Some are already squishy, these Republicans, and he can't afford more than a few no's. Donald Trump can not allow his own Justice Department to sabotage his presidency again. No more Robert Muellers. Matt Gaetz wouldn't put up with another coup. The Attorney General has to be trusted. It's why Obama picked Holder. It's why JFK picked his own brother. Trump's been shot, impeached twice, spied on, and had his wife's underwear drawer rummaged through by feds. His calculation is that Gaetz will run a clean shop and sniff out any shenanigans before they spread. The pace of Trump's cabinet picks, with a few curveballs, has heads spinning.
What's the buzz on the Hill right now?
Well, I mean, I hope you don't forgive me for saying this, Kristen, but the general vibe on the Hill right now is WTF.
When Washington heard Pete Hegseth would be the next defense secretary, it caught him off guard. Defense lobbyists were leaking, who the F is this guy? And the media can't believe it.
Your president is moving quickly to fill the clown car and round out his cabinet. He has selected Fox Weekend morning show host, you can't make this up, Pete Hegseth, to serve as Secretary of Defense, because why not?
Co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend. Not even like regular. Weekend. Pete Hegseth? Hegseth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, it's weird, and there's only one reason he's doing it, because he's on Fox News.
I don't necessarily know if acumen is top of mind when picking these people.
So Pete's a decorated Army combat vet who did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and has fought for veterans for years. He hasn't been corrupted by decades in Washington. He wasn't made by the machine. He's got a fresh set of eyes and a clear vision for the Pentagon. It's not like he's going to let Chinese spy balloons fly across the country or leave billions of dollars in military hardware in the Taliban's hands or make the Iranians and the drug cartels filthy rich and watch a land war erupt in Europe or anything. We can definitely tell you that Hegseth isn't going to have drag queen story hours on Army bases and DEI classes at West Point. I guarantee you, Pete won't spend a week in the hospital and hide it from the commander-in-chief. Democrats are suddenly obsessed with specific qualifications after telling us merit didn't matter. All that mattered was your race and gender. Well, Pete's a straight white male with a lot of kids. Is that going to be a problem? Biden stacked his administration with people like Mayor Pete's and Binders, Rachel Levine's and Sticky Sammy's. Pete's plenty qualified. Tim Walz was about to be a heartbeat away from the presidency, and he lied about being in combat. Pete Hegseth was in gunfights in Iraq and Afghanistan, has 2 Bronze Stars. I'd rather have him in the Situation Room than Tampon Tim. Trump's picking stars he can trust to watch his back and enact his agenda. And they're rolling them out fast and fun. The country senses it's on the precipice of massive change, and we're excited. And I'm not just saying that because I know the entire cabinet and that I'll be asking for special favors. Probably inappropriate, but doesn't hurt to ask. Democrats aren't scared of Hitler coming back to town. If they were, Biden wouldn't be smiling. They're scared that his renegade cabinet is going to expose how rotten they all are and turn things around so fast that Americans are going to realize what's possible. A new golden age isn't just a slogan, it's a promise. Trump's victory and these cabinet picks are raising our expectations because we deserve to have our expectations raised. This is the greatest country on the face of the earth with the best land and the brightest people. We shouldn't settle. The government works for us, not the other way around. That's what makes us free. And if Trump and his team can revolutionize the way Washington works and actually get it to work, the sky's the limit. And the mediocre culture of Washington will be stigmatized forever. Working on the Hill your whole life, at think tanks or pushing papers for the State Department, getting nothing done for the good of the people except padding your resume, backstabbing your enemies, and racking up debt. If Trump succeeds, the days when those guys, them ruling, are over. The Democrats are starting to realize what's about to hit them, and they're warning Republicans, don't be too bold. Have mercy.
To my Republican colleagues, I offer a word of caution in good faith. Take care not to misread the will of the people, and do not abandon the need for bipartisanship. After winning an election, the temptation may be to go to the extreme. We've seen that happen over the decades, and it's consistently backfired on the party in power.
Now that's Rich coming from the party that was elected to beat COVID, but just rammed through $20 trillion on windmills and sex changes. Schumer can take a back seat this time. We don't need his help. What an exciting time to be alive. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.